This is the KUSI News at 6.
Well, Narcan is soon to be available over the counter, providing a life-saving option for drug overdose reversal and coming at a cost of less than $50. That price is said to be consistent with what government agencies, nonprofits, and first responders pay, but of course, individual retailers will have the final say. The company behind the nasal spray says that it hopes to have Narcan available online and in stores by late summer.
Now, with the FDA's approval of Narcan for over-the-counter use, well, this could potentially clear the way for school districts to provide all teachers with the medication. This is in the event of an accidental overdose on campus. So joining me in studio is Mark Powell. You are the former San Diego County Board of Education member. Mark, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me tonight.
Of course. Now, Mark, I think the big question is, will school districts mandate Narcan to be available in all classrooms, and will teachers be the one to distribute the medication if a student were to overdose on opioids or fentanyl?
Well, schools currently have Narcan in their locations, except it's limited to only a handful of people, administrators, school nurses. So, Lindsey, make no mistake about this. There is actually a war on drugs. I mean, you just ran a segment right there that says Governor Newsom is calling out the National Guard. So when you're calling out the National Guard, it's a big deal. And our students in this war are becoming casualties. They're the ones who are actually dying. In fact, it's tripled. The number of teens that have died in the last 3 years has tripled. So what I'm asking for is for all the school districts to equip their teachers with this. I don't know if you can get a camera on that. This is Narcan. It's a one-shot nasal spray. What you do is you just put it up a person's nose who you suspect is having an overdose, depress this little button there, and that should reverse an opioid overdose. If they're not having an overdose, nothing will happen. That's why they're selling it over the counter, like Prilosec or Motrin. So there's no reason for a teacher now not to be able to have this other than it's cost prohibitive. So the school district should offer it to them for free.
Now, you've been pushing for Narcan to be in schools since 2019. So let's talk about your passion behind your efforts and why you believe this needs to be implemented now in all classrooms.
Okay, so deadly fentanyl, this drug that's 50 times stronger than heroin, 100 times more than morphine, it's killing kids. It's mixed into almost every street drug that you can find right now. So experimenting just one time with marijuana, cocaine, crystal, just one time can be deadly. And kids spend more than 50% of their time at school. So it just makes sense for the teachers to be equipped with this Narcan.
Mark, this has been a very controversial issue, and I think one of the major fears out there, people might be afraid that a drug like Narcan could be viewed as an enabling tool, but I want to get your take on this to help dismantle some of those fears out there.
Okay, and I acknowledge, Lindsey, what you've said. There are fears that kids will get a hold of this, and then they'll be more prone to do drugs because in case of an accidental overdose, they can Narcan each other, and that's what happens sometimes with homeless people and drug addicts. They'll carry the Narcan. Hey, if I overdose, you revive me. If you overdose, I'll revive you, vice versa. But it's going to be sold over the counter. So having it in school is not going to prevent somebody from getting a hold of this. It's like they can get a hold of it just like they can get a hold of a Coca-Cola.
Right. Now, Governor Newsom, as we mentioned at the top of the show, calling on the National Guard to help ease the fentanyl efforts, the fentanyl crisis. And you mentioned overdoses among U.S. teenagers tripling in 2 years. That drug being mixed with everything. We're seeing it being smuggled in kids' toys, Lego toys. Yeah, so it's a huge issue, especially here in San Diego, with it being the epicenter of the crisis. We're so close to the southern border. Yes. I wanted to ask you your take on what parents can do, what we can do as a collective, as a community, to help ease some of these issues.
A caution to the parents, and it really breaks my heart to say this. I'm the parent I'm a parent of teenagers. One's now not a teenager anymore. I'm concerned. Parents need to have that conversation with their children. They can no longer experiment with drugs. One time could be deadly. And also, in the event something should happen, and it's sad to say, I would encourage all parents that have kids that are in their teens to have some Narcan on hand. Just in the event of an accidental overdose, Parents are the first line of defense, but they need all the help they can get. And since kids spend 50% of their time in school, we need the teachers to help. It's a tall call, but like I said earlier, this is a war on drugs, and we must arm our teachers.
And raising awareness
Yes.
and talking about it, as you mentioned, is crucial.
Absolutely.
And I think that's you brought up some very good points.
Thank you.
Mark, do you have a website that our viewers can go to?
They can go to parentsforqualityeducation.com. If they go on that, there's some resources there. There's a One Pill Will Kill initiative that I've proposed to a lot of the school districts. They can find a lot of information, and my contact information is on there. If they want to contact me direct, feel free to do so.
Very good. Thanks so much, Mark Powell, for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you for having me.